So I'm Izzy Culliss. I am Managing Partner at Marysville Medical Practice and Executive Manager at Pontesbury and Worthing Medical Practice. Marysville Medical Practice is around 6,300. Pontesbury and Worthing is around 10,500 patients. Pontesbury is a dispensing practice. At Marysville, you found a lot for us, and I think there was a historical errors, I guess, just not being aware of what we could claim, repetition of errors. So we kept on making the mistakes because we didn't know we were making the mistakes. So it wasn't until Enhanced Primary Care looked at it for us that we realised that we were missing out, even on small things like lidocaine and things like that we didn't know we could claim for. So it was about changing processes. It was about being made aware that we were making the errors, to then look at it to say, how can we not make the errors again in future? It was just really easy. It was you and the team were very friendly. It was free money essentially, we didn't know we hadn't got it, so it was a nice surprise to go, oh, you've missed out on X thousand. So then it didn't feel the bill from Enhanced Primary Care then didn't feel bad, because we didn't know we would have had it anyway. So actually it was just win-win really. And there was no point where I had to do very much other than say, yes, please go ahead, and then pay the bill afterwards. So the whole process was just easy from beginning to end, and everybody was very nice. I had no idea, when you first got in touch and said we were offering this service, I was thinking, oh, if we're lucky, we might find a couple of grand. And was it for Marysville? I think you found about 16,000 in the end, which is just bonkers. That we'd lost that much, and significant amounts for Pontesbury and Worthing as well. Even though we're a dispensing practice, there was still a lot that we weren't claiming properly. I would 100% recommend Enhanced Primary Care, because, like I said, it's free money. It's money you didn't know you hadn't got, and it will change your processes for the better, to mean that you don't miss out on income for the future, and hopefully make your processes internally better than they were anyway. And the team are a pleasure to work with, and it's all very clear, and I don't think there's no negative, there's no reason why you wouldn't. I think anybody who refuses to work with you is just stupid. I think initially I was thinking, is this too good to be true? What else will I have to do? And my EMIS knowledge is not great. I'm not an operational practice manager. I deal with the business side of stuff. So actually some of what you were saying was like a foreign language to me, that I just thought, okay, go ahead, see what you find. The actual yes, go ahead is probably less than 15 minutes, and then getting the email, and it's really good to have that detailed email when you've done your report, so that you can see exactly what you're missing. It does take some reading. That was probably the most of my time, but it's interesting. I wanted to read it to see where you found it, and then the bit afterwards, the printing, that can be a bit onerous, but it's our own fault for not having done it in the first place. And again, it wasn't, when you present your GPs with the stack of things they've got to sign, mine did not complain, because they did it whilst we were having a meeting and talking about other things, and it was free money. I mean, it's a no-brainer. It's money that we should have claimed anyway, so they were just thankful that it had been identified and that we hadn't run out of time to be able to claim it. Amazed, thrilled, amazed. Yeah, it couldn't have come at a better time as well. It was, the last couple of years have been pretty horrific for general practice, and we're getting squeezed left, right and centre financially. So to hear that there's money there that we didn't know we had. We have regular monthly meetings with our 16 PCM practices, and so quite a number of us, it was me first, but then recommending you to the other practices, that a lot of them said yes and went with it, and now I think that word of mouth spreads, and they recommend you to other practices, because it does just get absorbed back into the accounts. But it just a big part of my job in both practices is the money and the finance and the accounts, and so getting that money has meant that I could breathe a bit easier at points in time, and just not be quite so panicky about that end of month or end of year. And that, yes, it's fine to have that locum for that extra couple of days, because that money's come in, and that's what we've generally used it for, that it's helped and it's propped up, rather than we're not in a position to be able to go, oh, isn't that great, we can now buy this and treat ourselves. It's just because of the state of finances in NHS and primary care in general, it has just helped ease that moment in time. So honestly, I've been so impressed with the business you've set up and the team you've got, and everybody's very polite. I can't recommend you highly enough. I think a bit of suspicion initially, and because I think we were probably, Marysville was one of the first practices perhaps that you worked with, even in phase one, and we had to get a special permission from NHS England, if you remember, that some of those initial emails with the ICB and NHS England, they're a bit like, whoa, what do you mean you've got these and you didn't do it before? And they haven't argued with us to say, well, no, you can't have it. They have held up their hands and said yes, because obviously their rules are that you can claim within the 6 or 7 years. But I think there was a bit of concern because they have their own budgets. So suddenly in that period of time, it's going to look like there's more, but it didn't stop them saying yes. But like anything with ICBs and NHS England, it is quite hard to get a final answer from them. Oh, I'd just say do it, 100% do it, because even if you're not a partner like I am, it brings in extra money, and practice managers, whether you're a partner or a business manager, an operational manager, it doesn't matter. If you can bring in some extra capital for the practice, it's going to make your life a bit easier because the partners will breathe a bit easier. And then the fact that it pinpoints processes that you're falling down on that you didn't know, and until somebody points it out to you, you don't know to look at it. So it will help things for the future and mean that hopefully you won't lose quite so much money in the corresponding years. So yeah, if you're on the fence, just do it. There's nothing to think about. What's not to love about a no-win, no-fee? I mean, there's literally nothing to use. If you lose, even if you'd come back and said we've found nothing, I'd have had to pay nothing. So it doesn't, and like I said, I didn't resent having to pay your bill because it was money that I wouldn't have got anyway if you hadn't found it for me. So yeah, it's brilliant that it's no win, no fee. It's easy. I haven't come across a practice where you haven't found money for them yet. I don't know if you have. I don't know how long you've been running, a couple of years now, but it feels like you have unearthed so much unclaimed income. And as we all know, with the NHS, there are pots of money in various places identified for various things, and they're not used on other things, and we're entitled to this money, so we're not taking it from somewhere else which is in need. It would just sit there unclaimed otherwise. So it really is, there's no question, it's absolutely the right thing to do and the best thing to do to bring in extra income for the practice, but to improve your processes in the practice, so that you don't make the errors again. Yeah, they respond really timely. So if I have a question and I send it to the generic email or just one of the identified team, everybody's responded really quickly, really politely, always very friendly. I think I've probably been a bit dense at times and had to ask stupid questions of, can you just explain this to me? And they have, without making me feel stupid, just come back and answered very clearly. And it's just been very clear at every step of the way. They provide regular email updates with that, what stage you were at with that phase. So it's nice to be kept updated. And then, right in the beginning, that I didn't know what you were going to find, and I didn't know what would happen and how that would go down with NHS England, or then what to expect. And you were able to very clearly set out that from the beginning, if you found any money, we could expect it. If we then made the claim, we could probably expect it 2 to 3 months after that claim. And true to your word, that's exactly what happened. So it's nice to be able to tell the accountant, we found this, it's coming in this month, it relates to this, but put it in this year. And they've said, yeah, fine. And it's all been really straightforward.